Hello, Solve.Care community. I am Maria Zadowska, Director of Marketing and Communications at Solve.Care. And based on the community feedback, we agreed with Pradeep that it is a good time for the community to hear directly from the team today. I will be a moderator of our live session today, and I know that you would like to get answers in general to the following questions. First, are we on the right track as a company? Second, are we making progress? Third, when will this progress be visible to the community? During today's live session, our team will address all of these questions. Also, we have heard you, and we will make sure that we address all your questions step by step within the next months, and we will release answers to all your almost 140 questions step by step each week, and we will take 5 questions per week. So before we jump into the update from our team, I will take a few minutes just to introduce myself properly. For those with whom we didn't have a chance to meet before or to talk before, I'm at Solve.Care from the early beginning, basically from the creation, and I was privileged to be a part of the team who worked and who decided the name and who chose the name together with Pradeep, Solve.Care, and who did a very successful token sale, which was fully sold out. I was a part of this journey, how we built our global brand, how we built a global community, and number of successful global marketing campaigns, which helped to develop Solve.Care recognition in blockchain and healthcare industries. I have seen how an amazing idea went its way to a global phenomenon recognized by businesses, by top global businesses, as well as people from around the world. And I can say that Solve.Care is a really unique company. And I came from insurance. I was working at AXA Group. This is a global international insurance and asset management company. And I was on the journey for 4 years in blockchain healthcare. And I met with a lot of blockchain companies, and I think that only few of them are still around. So I can say that I'm proud that I have a chance to work with such a dedicated team as we have at Solve.Care, who truly believe in our mission to change healthcare globally and who work really hard, like really 24/7 to achieve this mission. So agenda for our today's call will be the following. Let me share my screen. So first, you will hear from Pradeep, our CEO. After that, our team will share our Global Telehealth Exchange update. You will hear from our Ahmed, whom you already know, Physicians Relations Specialist, about physicians enrollment progress. You will hear from Agata, our GTHE Product Manager, about next steps in GTHE rollout. After that, our CFO, Plenderleith, will provide you financial update. And Raj, our architect, whom you already know, will cover platform and Care Wallet 2.0, next steps and progress. And we will finish with a Q&A session and a final word from Pradeep. And now let me welcome Pradeep Goel, CEO of Solve.Care.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the very kind introduction, Maria. And I always look forward to these sessions. They're very stressful to get ready for, but they're really enjoyable to do because you feel like this is a time and opportunity to actually talk to the community, our global supporters around the world, and share with them what we have accomplished. Before we get started, I think it's important for me to acknowledge the incredible efforts of the team. As Maria said, Solve.Care team does work day and night. I have never met a more hardworking group of people, and they are inspirational to be part of. And yes, there are We are perhaps trying to do way too much given the size of the team, but these people, all of them, Ahmed, Agata, Ian, Maria, they all rise to the occasion and put in their very best. So I'm proud to be part of this organization. We have a lot to cover, and I want to leave as much time as possible for questions and answers, but there are many. Maria presented me a list of over 140 questions, and instead of trying to cover them in a live session, I feel it's much more useful to provide written answers, particularly because many of our community members are non-English speaking, and I tend to speak fast. People have told me repeatedly that I speak really fast. So I think it is best that we give clear written answers to these questions in writing, so they can be translated through Google Translate, and Korean community and Dutch community and India community and China community, can span our growing community in South and Central America. They can follow along. So we really need to start thinking of ourselves as a multinational, multi-language communication model, and we will give you your answers in writing. So do not be concerned if your question is not directly answered in this very session. Time is limited. We will get you your answers in writing, and I want you to have the ability to visit these answers, share these answers, translate them if needed. One thing that I've always prided in is a Solve.Care is transparent. We are not going to do or say things differently than the reality, and vice versa. So our transparency has been a great asset, and I intend to keep it that way. So let's jump into the update today, and let's see if we can do it in about 20-25 minutes, and then leave the rest of the time for as many questions as we can get through, followed by written answers for every question that you have submitted to us. So let's get started with the first big elephant in the room. We have missed our deadlines. There is no doubt about it. We had put forth a very aggressive agenda for May and June, and it is clear that we were overly optimistic in those deadlines, and I accept that responsibility. It is not from lack of trying or lack of focus, but we did not account for some things that we, in hindsight, should have. But one thing that I am proud of is that despite the fact that 80% of our team in India got hit with COVID, personally or with their family members, and there was utter chaos, all of them kept showing up for work. One would have excused majority of our team members to say, listen, there is just utter chaos going on, and I'm going to need to take 30, 45 days off. Nobody did. Everybody stayed on course. But it did have a meaningful impact on our product development and on our product release cycle. In hindsight, we should have planned better. We should have anticipated the impact of COVID and other things, and we will do better. So I'm making some changes in the company because I do not wish to see another deadline missed, and I do not wish to come to you and have to explain to you that we missed a deadline. So a few things we are putting in place. First, we are creating a more separation of concerns, bringing in more experienced managers to run day-to-day operations, as well as implementing better project controls. And we are also going to restructure our projects and run them under different leadership models, and I'll explain that more. But we are getting way too big to be run on the strength of just hard work and commitment and mission and leadership. What we need is very active and serious management skill in terms of project management. We recognize that, I accept it, and we are putting it into place. Such a change in the company doesn't take place in a day, but the change has already begun. Despite these delays, I am absolutely and 100% clear about our direction. If I had any doubts, those are no longer there. If I had any concerns, that is GTHE the right thing to do? Is Care platform focused on the right functionality? Is making the platform third-party developer ready the right thing focus for us? Should we be a platform company or a network company? I have no doubts. We are 100% clear on who we are, who we need to be, and how we should manage different lines of business. So our focus hasn't changed. The delays haven't taken us away from what we want to accomplish. And I see these as bumps in the road, not a wall in the road. So we are absolutely aware of the fact that there is concern in the community about missed deadlines, and we accept it, we hear it, and we are taking very significant action to make sure that the company can perform on multiple parallel efforts without missing deadline in one project at the expense of the other project. So we hear you, and we are doing something very meaningful about it. Having said that, there is enormous amount of things that the company has accomplished since we last talked. I know that I spoke to you along with Raj in the middle to end of April. So it's been about 6 weeks since we all spoke, and a lot has been accomplished. So let's get into that, because what the team has done is absolutely remarkable. So I'm not going to steal Ahmed and Agata's thunder. They are going to give you more details on GTHE, but I want to give you 3 points. I want you to understand these 3 points. First, GTHE scope has become bigger, in the sense that even though we got hit with COVID and our team was severely affected, and even though we got surprised with some legal and regulatory concerns towards the tail end of GTHE launch, we actually ended up making a stronger solution out of these problems than we would have expected. What the team has done to overcome the regulatory and legal concerns is to enhance the global telehealth exchange in a very unique way. Instead of having to launch a new care wallet or a web wallet every time we expand GTHE to a new country, now we have built the exchange capability where we can simply configure a new country into global telehealth exchange. And this has very profound implications in terms of how quickly we can scale global telehealth exchange around the world. This is profoundly important because there are literally tens of thousands of potential regulatory considerations. If you want to get an idea of GTHE scale, I want you to consider this. If every patient or any patient in the world could connect with any doctor in the world, there would be 38,000 regulatory relationships that we would have to manage. There wouldn't be a need for which country the patient is and which country the doctor is, and whether cryptocurrency is allowed in that patient country, and whether cryptocurrency is allowed in the doctor country, and whether insurance is needed in the doctor country, and whether the patient has the rights to seek and receive prescription in their home country. These combinations actually end up being in the millions. So no one has attempted this before, because it is such a monumental and vast challenge. It's hard to even imagine how one could build one system to handle these millions of combinations, permutations and combinations. We have. The team has designed a solution in the exchange framework for global telehealth exchange that allows us to safely match patients and doctors compliant with all these considerations. And that makes us an incredibly powerful system of the kind that the world has never seen before. So yes, it is taking a little bit longer, but it is beyond anything that I had imagined when we first set out to build GTHE. The second thing is, GTHE is only as good as the supply side. There is always an inequity in demand supply of healthcare. No matter which country you live in, there is always a gap between timely access to physician, the need of the patient, and timely availability of physician. So the issue with global telehealth exchange is never about, do the patients need it? The question is, are there enough doctors to provide the services? And our feedback from providers around the world is stupendous. They love the idea of real-time payments globally using Solve token. They love the idea that they don't have to do any administrative work. And we have done extensive research, or we're relying upon extensive provider research to be absolutely confident that GTHE has global appeal and global financial and clinical value. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. The third is the GTHE launch originally was planned for US and India. And we picked those countries because we felt that those were the countries where the regulatory concerns could be met easily. We are very proud to say that we have expanded our launch sphere to 20 countries from 2 on the strength of the enhanced capabilities and the incremental country-specific relationship configuration that we can now do. That is an incredible success And I'm very proud of what the team has done. And more importantly, I'm very proud of the way they have done it. Now we can add a new country on the patient side or on the provider side in a matter of a day. Our original plan that would have required significant effort. Now we can spread GTHE around the world by simply reconfiguring the exchange algorithms. And that is very powerful and unique. On the strength of this GTHE architecture, we are having GTHE evaluated as a standalone asset, as a standalone line of business. And we are receiving incredibly favorable numbers, which I will ask Ian to talk about. So GTHE is delayed, but by no means diminished. We are very, very comfortable with the idea that GTHE will ultimately and quickly spread around the world. It's not just about launching, it's about adoption and usage, and we are very well prepared to make that happen. Let's move to the next section. Now, on the Definitise, I have to share with the community that Definitise is running behind. We want to run Definitise and GTHE and all these projects in parallel, but we simply do not have enough capacity to do GTHE and Definitise and care platform and various other care networks. So Definitise is running late, and both Ian and I and Maria have sat down and have decided that we need to spin Definitise out under its own leadership into its own separate entity and have this be run by a team that is dedicated to Definitise and is not competing for my time or Raj's time or anybody else's. So we made a decision that Definitise will be restructured, separated from Solve.Care. It will still be based on Solve Token and dCare. Nothing changes, but we are going to implement a brand new model of Definitise, which allows us to have this product and this company and this organization be built. We also recognize that many of you have staked your Solve tokens for Definitise, and we will not forget about that consideration. So as part of restructuring Definitise, we will also look to make sure that those who have staked Solve token continue to see value from their stake and are not penalized for it. So this is part of the restructuring of Definitise. My expectation is that over the next 45 to 60 days, we will be able to identify and install a new leadership for Definitise and allow it to run on its own parallel track. So I do recognize the community has been waiting for Definitise, and we haven't been able to invest the time necessary to move it forward. And we are going to do that by separating it out of Solve.Care and making it largely autonomous and independent of the company. And I'll give you more details of that as soon as I can, certainly before the end of July. Next. On the care platform, things are moving very much in the right direction. I will not steal Raj's thunder because he has much to say there. But what I will say is that since Raj took on as a chief architect role, I have stepped away from having to run the development architectural vision of the platform, and he has started to inherit it away from me. And that's a very good thing because it is allowing me to have more time to go sell the platform. So I have spent a week in Washington last week, and I plan to go back again in a few weeks. And the goal is to ensure that there are enough government agencies and third-party integrators like HMS, who we were working with last year, to really use the platform. And I have been in touch with the HMS leadership. They have been acquired by Sierra, so they are no longer an independent company, and their leadership has moved on and everything is restructured there. But we are still in touch with each other, and they are as excited as they were before to see the Solve platform spread into US government. I have a very comprehensive strategy to launch the Solve platform in the US government space. And we are adding a variety of resources to our team, both internal and contract, which allows us to go out there and position our platform in a variety of opportunities, not just within health and human services. So my focus personally shifts to leveraging my network, which I have built over the last 30 years, in getting the Solve platform utilized in commercial insurance, in hospital systems, and most importantly, in government agencies in the United States and beyond. So I'll let Raj speak to the platform progress. Next. So before I turn it over to the team, and I will come back and of course take questions once they are done with their update, I'll give you 5 points. Yes, we need to plan better. Our last 6 weeks showed us that we are not doing enough contingency planning, and we will, and we have started to bring in a different level of maturity into the team so that we are able to manage a whole host of projects at once. The team has never lost their focus. They are committed. They work incredibly hard, and they haven't, even for a single day, been off track. So I'm very proud of them, and I will stay all day long by their side. GTHE is becoming way bigger than we had hoped for. It is absolutely ginormous in its impact. If that is a word, I just invented that, gigantic and enormous. But we are extremely excited, not just about the fact that the potential is there, but the product has evolved to where it can actually address the potential. And the wait is worth it, in my opinion. Solve is driving a lot of payment innovation. We would not have the kind of attraction for the physicians if we were just a credit card-based payment system. GTHE accepts credit cards, but it converts everything to Solve. And that digitalization of payment allows us to allow a patient in Siberia to connect to a physician in Sierra Leone. That would not happen easily, if at all, if you could not use Solve. So Solve is the payment innovation in GTHE. And last but not the least, as the platform reaches maturity and third-party readiness, I am reactivating my network in Washington, D.C. and really across the US to promote Solve.Care, as well as we are signing distributorships worldwide. And there is enormous progress on that front as well. And we will announce them as they get signed. So without taking much time away from our Q&A towards the end of this presentation, I'm going to turn it back to Maria. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Pradeep, for your introduction, and thank you for leading us. And I would like to invite Ahmed to provide more details about our physicians' enrollment progress. Ahmed, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that, Maria. First and foremost, good morning, good evening to all of you attending, depending on where you are in the world. Pradeep, thank you very much for that introduction to give us some context into our progress so far. First and foremost, I'd like to speak with all of you today about our international provider enrollment, but I'd like to take a step back first to set the scene. So as Pradeep had mentioned, we have had some very small speed bumps along the way, but ever since my time at Solve, I see our platform as a page in the history books. So I always like to refer to events in history, people in history, and look at us with our contribution in that lens. So if we look at people like the Wright brothers, Thomas Edison, those were people who were revolutionaries, trailblazers in their industries, and the ramifications and the impact of their contributions are felt for generations to come. So with our international release and our international enrollment, it is equivocal in terms of the generational positive impact it will have in healthcare delivery. If you could kindly move to the next slide, please. So as mentioned, we are trailblazers, we are pioneers when it comes to offering the first international physician enrollment platform. We are the first solution offering healthcare providers autonomy over their practice and really allow their practice to expand not regionally, not nationally, but globally. We are the first to actually have a global enrollment framework that is in full compliance with 21 countries worldwide. Our team has been working day and night, as Pradeep had said, to develop these procedures for these countries. But not only have we been working within a vacuum, but one of our key to success at Solve.Care is the fact that we rely on our community profoundly, and we build on their insights, we build on their expertise. And it is on that relationship that we have been able to rely extensively on our respected ambassador community. Now, our respected ambassador community includes physicians and providers from all over the world. Some of our noteworthy ambassadors include Dr. Swapna Vaidya, who is the chief psychiatrist at Kaiser Permanente in Washington, Dr. Evan Lipkiss, who is an internist in Glenview, Illinois, and renowned author, Dr. Alison McGregor, who is an associate professor of emergency medicine in the School of Brown University and renowned author as well. And last but not least, one of our most recent additions is Dr. Justin Kimsey, who is a resident in family medicine and physician at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. So once again, I just want to emphasize the overarching concept here, and that is that, yes, there will be small speed bumps along the way, But again, this is a moment in history that will not only act to serve physicians in an acute period of time, but this will be a moment in history that will improve and augment healthcare delivery for generations to come. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Agata, who will discuss more features of our GTHE rollout. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Agata, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how we're doing with Global Telehealth Exchange rollout. We're planning to have a June 30th rollout across multiple countries. And let me tell you a little bit about what is happening now. We have an ongoing testing where we involved providers and patients in testing of Global Telehealth Exchange, which provided invaluable feedback to our team. We have been testing now for over a month, and we have captured a few pain points that will improve providers' overall experience. I found it interesting to discover that most of the experiences required minimal changes, but had a huge impact on overall journey. And to give you a brief example, we had a few doctors trying to sign up for the second time instead of logging in, and we now direct such doctors to login page when they are on the wrong screen, reducing login issues to 0. Now, it might seem like a very small change, but when we onboard thousands of providers, it's these small improvements we're capturing now that will impact overall experience and performance of the solution. Now, for the first rollout on the 30th of June, we're onboarding providers and patients from 20 countries, and we're focusing on building and managing relationships between these providers and patients. In consecutive rollouts, we're going to expand the borders, so to say, of the first rollout and introduce new countries and pairs. Now, as Pradeep mentioned previously, most solutions allow for booking appointment with a doctor in the same country or just a few countries, and we have enhanced GTHE to support thousands of relationships between doctors and patients in different countries, which we're looking to build over a time. Now, that means we can expand GTHE into a new country within a shorter timeline than anyone else on the market. And in addition, opening a new country does not require releasing a new care wallet. They will simply be activated in the solution and made available to all doctors and patients. And we're going to be adding these patient-provider relationships every week after the first rollout. And this is an update on the rollout of GTHE.
Agata, thank you very much. And thank you for all an amazing work which you are doing, as well as Ahmed and Olga. Thank you, guys. All right, let's go to finance update. Ian?
Thank you very much, Maria, and thank you very much to Pradeep, Ahmed, and Agata for their presentations. I'd like to start by saying good day to everybody across the community. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you all once again. I'll be making a short presentation today, but focusing on two important areas, which are the cornerstones of finance, that being compliance and growth. You could not be on a slide, please, Maria. And the first area that I wanted to touch on there is compliance, and compliance from Solve.Care and all of the Solve.Care companies. When I came into the organization, I worked hard with Pradeep and the rest of the team to ensure really that we were implementing the highest levels of financial control and financial risk management. And we can see the impact of that as the company moves forward, in that our 2017, 2018 and 2019 financial statements have now been audited, filed and registered with the Estonian authorities. Financial statements in compliance with international financial reporting standards and Estonian GAAP. And I'd like to take this opportunity as well to thank the hard work of the finance team and the operational team for the work that they did in working with the auditors and also our suppliers to ensure that we were able to meet those standards. And it's something we're particularly proud of. Moving into the 2020 financial statements, we are well progressed with those already. Those statements are with the auditors, and we expect to file by mid-July. And in addition to that, we've completed all statutory and regulatory financial filings in Estonia. Why is this important? From a financial perspective, and when you're looking to grow the business, These are the foundations of the organisation that enable you to continue to grow and develop new products in a manner that's financially safe, financially secure. And as I mentioned earlier, we work very hard to ensure that those foundations are solid, both internally, but those foundations are solid, and that's recognised externally by financial auditors, independent financial auditors across Estonia. So a really important point there about the strong foundations to take the business forward. In addition to that, from a compliance perspective, it's also important that we recognise the obligations that we have to our team and the hard work of the team across the business in producing GTHE, developing the platform, working on Definitise, working on the DCAN networks that we put in place previously. Staff have worked very hard for 4 years to develop those systems. And in the white paper from 2017, during the ICO, 180 million tokens were allocated to staff as reward for the work that they have done to bring the company forward and to get the company to where it is today. I announced at the end of last year that we reduced that 180 million tokens for staff down to 65 million. And I would like to mention as well that of that 65 million, that is for the development teams and the operational teams. That is not tokens for executives or the core executive team across the business. Of those 65 million tokens, 35 of them were released from Treasury on October the 29th last year. And we plan to release the next 30 million once the 2020 financial statements have been audited and filed and approved with the Estonian authorities. Why that date? Because at that point in time, we will have an audited and understandable financial position of the organisation, which enables us to make informed decisions about our financial strength and structure so that we can take the business forward again in the full knowledge of those foundations, the financial foundations required to move the business forward are in place. If I could move forward onto the next slide, please, Maria. One thing that I did mention there at the start was going to show a short presentation on 2 areas of finance, being compliance and growth. And growth of the business is important to ourselves, and I'm sure it's extremely important to you, the Solve.Care community. And as Pradeep mentioned earlier in the presentation, I think he used the word ginormous, the opportunities for GTHE are much larger than we had first envisaged. They are significant, and the prospects to grow the platform across the globe are significant. They exceeded the expectations, certainly than what I saw when I came into the business. And as we've started to do information and we've started to do further market research on GTHE and GTHE using the Solve token as the payment token, we have seen significant amount of interest. Over the last few months, we've been speaking across the globe with physicians, not those who are currently using GTHE, not those who are registered with us, not those who are ambassador of ourselves, to understand their thoughts on telemedicine, in-country telemedicine and global telemedicine. As you can see there on the slide, this has been a very significant and a very large survey. Over 20,000 physicians and 17,000, I call them clients, patients, have been contacted from 150 countries across the world. We wanted to understand their appetite for telemedicine, not only within their own country, but also receiving telemedicine services from other parts of the world. And you can see the results of the feedback there on the slide. Analysis of the feedback, 90% of physicians want and are willing to provide telemedicine services in their own countries, but also willing to provide those services across the globe. And from a patient's perspective, again, 94% of patients want to receive a telemedicine service, perhaps within their own countries, but also, again, significantly, 94% prepared to receive those services from physicians located overseas, if that best suits their medical needs. So what does that say to ourselves as an organisation? The appetite for a system such as GTHE is enormous. Physicians and significant numbers of physicians and a significant proportion of patients as well want to use the system, want to work with a system such as ours. As a consequence of that, we've recruited independent financial experts to help us carry out evaluation of the GTHE. That process is being undertaken. I have seen some initial drafts and had some initial discussions with the corporate finance specialists, and I have to say the numbers and the potential and the size and the scale and the value of GTHE is significant indeed. You know, we're running into the tens and tens of millions of US dollars. This is a big business. This is a big business opportunity. And certainly the work that we are doing on the platform, on GTHE, development of Care Wallet, development of new networks, leaves us ideally placed to take advantage of that. So in summary, from the perspective of finance, the foundations are in place to develop and continue to grow the business. We are fully compliant with Estonian GAAP and international financial reporting standards. We've got high quality financial controls in the business and financial risk management, preparing us to grow and develop our networks and push our networks out across the world into a marketplace that is ready and waiting for products such as GTHE. I'd like to thank you all for your time, just listening to this very short presentation on my part, and I look forward to hearing from you all in the future. Thank you.
Ian, thank you very much. And it is time to come to our platform and Care Wallet upcoming development update. And I would like to invite Raj, our chief architect. Hi, Raj.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. So hello, community. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on where you are. So before giving update about platform and Care Wallet 2, I just wanted to add in few things here, right? So I onboard to Solve.Care actually as a chief architect now, like for I think 7 to 8 weeks or maybe a little bit more. And the way I have looked at this platform, right? The potential of this platform is enormous. Okay, it's phenomenal. And when I started putting my arms around this platform, I figured out that, we need to build certain interfaces, especially at publishing layer. This whole notion of identity, Solve.Care identity, right? Self-sovereign based identity, and a better event driven architecture based on care protocol, of course. And so that's what is also in our vision actually. So it's a kind of enhanced platform that we are bringing now. And I would like to thank Pradeep here for freeing me up a little bit, in recent days. And we have now actually onboarded senior management team in Solve.Care. So they would be exclusively looking at the development, and the architect team, right? Architecture team would be focusing mainly on the Solve.Care platform architecture. So having said that, let me give you an update about where we are. Of course, we have also missed few deadlines in terms of Care Wallet 2. So now the Care Wallet 2 publishing is planned for July, right? But having said that, it's coming up with a digital twin architectural approach, which means there is no difference really between Care Wallet and Care Node in terms of data structure, right? It's the Care Node that you have on Solve.Care platform is pretty much the digital twin of Care Wallet. And then in July, in the last week of July, we are also launching Care Node and Care Protocol enabled platform. So this is not a complete upgrade of Solve.Care platform version 2, but as you know, we have been working a lot on Care Node, Care Protocol, and Care Wallet. So Care Node and Care Protocol adaptation to our existing platform comes right, in July with, passwordless identity, right? One-click network publishing interfaces, event-driven decentralized data and compute, right? And care tag integration. So care tag integration, we are still working on. So these are planned things which will come in July. And more than anything, right, documentation for care network developers. So as a chief architect, I'm also focusing a lot on making sure that there is enough documentation and SDK and integration interfaces for third-party network developers. I know that we have published a roadmap for developers especially, and we have talked about in our roadmap, we had care protocol authoring interface, SDK and things like that. And I know that those estimates or those timelines were a little bit optimistic when we started building this. And so this time I actually want to make sure that there is a proper SDLC driven deadline actually for building SDK, building authoring interfaces, building, online test labs where you can actually write protocol then and there on the web browser and could test it on Care Wallet. So we are preparing a new roadmap now for developer community along with ton of documentation. Actually, it will not be that we just update the GitHub. We are actually going to publish a ton of documentation for authoring the network and new roadmap for building complete developer portal and developer program along with care authoring center and things like that. Can we go to next slide, please?
I think that this is what I have. Raj, I have a few questions to you, if I may.
Okay.
So I know that definitely what we are building is truly a great innovation. Can you please cover a little bit more why it is so innovative? Our care protocol, our node, our care wallet. And if you can give some examples, please, for all of us to understand, and simple examples that I can understand as well.
So let me give some example. Okay, so why we are innovative, okay, and why our platform does matter and why it is phenomenal. First thing is I actually come on board to Solve.Care because I'm inspired by this whole idea of Solve.Care. So the way our platform is different, right? There are other D apps also, okay? There are other decentralization based apps also. But the way we are different is number one, we are not a point-based solution. Like we are not a D app platform to just build, a point-based solution, just build GTHE or something like that. We are a solution on top of which you can build other D apps. That's number one. Number two, in terms of decentralization, right? Most of the solution have decentralized one thing, right? For example, if you look at storage or other kind of distributed file system based solutions, they have just tried to kind of distribute the storage problem in the world, right? They take out the storage from your centralized server and they put it on internet, right, via some protocol, and things like storage, another IPFS based solution, another blockchain based solution. And then there are some really great projects nowadays, especially the one mentionable here is the one by Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the founder of World Wide Web, in fact. So he and his team has started a project called Erupt Solid Server, right? Solid. And the idea of decentralization in that project, Erupt Solid Server, Sir Tim Berners-Lee's project is that they are trying to decentralize the storage or the, your social media objects for you, just the storage part. The way we are different is in some way we are far ahead than any of these decentralization approach. Okay, number one, we are not just trying to decentralize the storage problem, okay, data centralization problem, right? We are not just decentralizing the data centralization, we are also decentralizing data and compute, and then bringing in an event-based fabric where you can actually declare certain flows and events in care protocol, what we call as care journey, care events, and care event handlers, right? And build a full-fledged network on fly, right? So that's how we are different, actually. So I have just told you like a couple of these projects, right? The one mentionable one is especially from Sir Tim Berners-Lee. So we are somewhat like that, or maybe I would say they are somewhat like us. But in terms of overall decentralization, we are far ahead, because not just we decentralize storage or data, we are also decentralizing compute, and we are giving enough configurability to build the kind of application you want. Right.
So am I correct in my understanding that there is a creator of www, basically internet, right? And he is working starting from 2017 or 18 on the project just for social media. And he has created something or working to create something which we call in our platform Care Node. And he still didn't release this product to the market. And it is like half of what we are doing.
I would not say half, even I would say maybe 20 to 30%. And I would not like to measure in that terms also, Maria, because they are trying to solve a different problem. They are very point specific. Okay. They are trying to solve centralization problem for social network, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you may be on a Twitter-like solution and you can take out all of your data from Twitter, and you can choose, some other server for yourself, and then still you can tweet something like that. We are pretty much like that. In our solution also, the data reside with Care Wallet holder, right? And even if you lose your wallet, then you have a digital twin of this wallet completely under your control, which is your Care node. But in our solution, it's not the data that you hold. You also hold the logic or the programmability behind it. Okay, which means if the logic server or business layer is down, you will still be able to talk to your doctor, book appointment, because when you actually interact with doctors, especially for example in GTHE, what essentially you are doing is you are not doing anything on our platform. A Care Wallet user on GTHE and a doctor, it's a peer-to-peer connection, right? That level of decentralization is there. So you hold your own data, doctors hold their own data, they decide their own price. So and then the way these two parties will communicate in order to book an appointment, the way certain event propagation will happen, the way payment mechanisms will happen, all those things are also decentralized. So not just the persistence, but the application layer or the application functions in our Care node and a wallet are also decentralized, by which what we mean is they are not on some centralized application server. They happens to be on your wallet, on node, or on internet, as simple as that. They are distributed too.
Got it. So just to summarize, once again, what we are doing, it is not just words that we are innovators. We are really the first company which uses blockchain technology to decentralize healthcare, to empower the patient, to make sure that we don't have any centralized data storage. Correct?
That's perfectly right. That is 100% right. And we are not a point-based platform. We are a platform to build any kind of DApp that you want, right? So most of the platform will give you a facility to build one kind of DApp. For example, you may build a DApp, decentralized app, to do with storage or files, or to do with certain use case. In our case, of course, healthcare is the domain, but it's all about technical capabilities, right? So we are a platform. So in a platform, what happens is any platform would have certain level of messaging, right? Making information move from one place to another place. And since we are decentralized, we are of course talking about peer-to-peer messaging, right? Not a centralized messaging or not a brokered messaging. For that matter, any platform is supposed to have certain interfaces, certain entry points, certain third-party connectivity options, right? So all these features, we have made sure that there is a right balance of on-chain and off-chain, functionality. Which means certain things would get into blockchain for sure. Certain things may not go to blockchain, they'll just be anchored. But when they are off-chain, even then they are done properly, actually, which means decentralized in a much better way using care protocol. So we built our own protocol to decentralize off-chain logic and off-chain storage, right? So that's how we are different, right?
Thank you, Raj, very much. And let's go to the Q&A session. Pradeep, I would invite you to join.
Hello again, everyone, and thank you, Raj, for a very detailed review of the platform architecture, and I'm sure that there is a lot more you can cover. What I'm encouraged by is the focus on documentation, because platform is only as good as adoption, and adoption both by government agencies, by health systems, by insurance companies, by independent third-party developers has to be facilitated through proper tool instrumentation and documentation. So our chief architect's focus is exactly right, and I'm looking forward to those capabilities to be released. Maria, back to you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Would you like to summarize main messages which were delivered so far?
So, sure, I'll be quick because I want to go to questions. First thing, the delays that we have encountered, some of them should have been planned for better, some of them we could not have anticipated. Our team has worked their way through these challenges, both health and other technical issues and regulatory and legal issues, and they've done a phenomenal job. So while I'm not happy about the delays, I'm very encouraged by the progress that has been made. And we are making organizational changes to prevent any delays in the future. Better contingency planning is needed, and we are putting that in place. And I want to make sure that we never have a situation like this again. GTHE is an enormous opportunity now. It has grown from just being a US and India launch to 20-country launch. And it is absolutely phenomenal in terms of physician feedback and in terms of financial opportunity that it represents and transactional opportunity it represents in terms of Solve token. It really puts us at a different level of the game. And I have often said to my team repeatedly and almost daily that our mission will redefine Solve as a top 10 token. That is my personal belief and absolute commitment to keep working till that happens and then beyond. Because healthcare payments are incredibly complex, bureaucratic, difficult, and often are a barrier to care. And if you're going to change healthcare, we're going to have to change payment system. And that's why Solve token is so important. In terms of Definitise, we are running way behind schedule. I'm going to spin the company out, this project, into its own entity, assign its own leadership, and let them run independent of the Solve.Care platform team, so we can put Definitise back on track. And we'll make sure that those who have staked their tokens for DCare are compensated for the time that they have locked their tokens up for. So wait for that on the update. In terms of care platform, as you can see, Raj has adopted the vision and made it better. I know that he tells me daily that our vision and our platform architecture is the most superior platform architecture in decentralized or centralized world. And I'm anxious to see this adopted by many different parties, third party to us. But one thing Raj didn't mention, but I will mention, is that all the new networks that we are currently engaged in beyond GTHE, we have nurse care, we have pediatric care, we have teen care 2.0. Those are all moving to the new platform architecture. So legacy networks we built, 5 networks we built in the last 3-4 years, and the dozens of networks that we are planning to build in partnership with different clients, all those networks are based on the new architecture. And the last thing that I'll say is, in terms of focus and commitment, well, second last thing, I'm very pleased with the fact that Ian is getting all the financial and operational things in order. It is still our mission and vision to go public, be it at Solve.Care platform level or at the GTHE network level. And to be IPO ready, we have to be able to pass scrutiny and we have to be able to pass audit. And that readiness to be able to pass any level of scrutiny by auditors, by regulators, by investors, by investment bankers, that is critical. We've always done things cleanly and right, but for some third-party auditor to say we've done everything right is another different level of authenticity. And companies typically do not subject themselves to audit or willingly subject themselves to audit, and we have. As a proof or a comparison, one of my previous companies that was one of the fastest growing companies in the United States, I think on number 7 on Inc. 500, did not do an audit for the first 7 years. Solve.Care has done an audit going back to the first year. That tells us, that should tell you something. There is nothing to hide and there is nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed of. Every dollar, every cent has been accounted for properly. And that's what an audit really does. So I'm very glad to see that done. And I'm really glad to see that 2020 audit will be done in July. It's not uncommon to see audits happen for the prior year in Q3 or Q4, and sometimes the following year. So to get 2020 audit done by mid-year is wonderful. I'm very, very glad to see Ian and his team get that done. And then the final point, the team is absolutely focused and committed to everything that we have said we are doing. There is no change of plan. There is no change of direction. There is no change of focus. And there is no doubt in my mind that we are on the right track. So let's jump into your questions and answers, and let's see how many I can answer today. And regardless of how many we cover today, I want to make sure that every single question we have received from the community, an answer in writing is provided to you in short order. So that's something Maria will manage. So let's get started, Maria.
Definitely. Thank you, Pradeep. So the first question is from BV. Updates on the partnerships from Q1.
So we had a very active Q1. I mentioned to you all that we are talking to an incredibly large global organization on the use of our platform. And that conversation has resulted in several meetings, calls, demos, an exchange of information, non-disclosure agreements. And now we are looking to move that forward into its next stage. I would expect that from this point on, they're going to do a lot of independent due diligence on us. They're going to check and investigate our company, our platform independently, and will resume conversations when they have completed their due diligence. I would expect to do that if I was on their side. When I was in large company executive chair, once I got excited about somebody, I would then assign a team to dig deeper, and I believe they are digging deep. So that's a good thing, and I think this audit helps. So that progress is good. Certainly, I don't have 100% visibility into their thought process, but I am positive that this is going well. I have had personally number of conversations with partnerships. I will not name names because everything is under NDA, but I'll give you a flavor. So I've had conversations in Washington, DC regarding the adoption of Solve.Care platform in government health agencies. And I will tell you what I've told them very clearly. I am more than willing to support any health agency in the US or in China or in India, as long as Solve.Care is not the prime risk bearer. In other words, as long as there is an agency partner, partner company, an integrator, a prime contract holder who is able to deal with all the qualifications, program management, risk, bond, insurance issues, we will make the platform available to them through such credible partners. And having said that, we are having conversations of that nature in the US. We are having such conversations with partners in India. We are having such conversations with partners in Philippines. We are having conversations with partners in Middle East. So as Raj takes over platform development away from me, and as Sachin and Mahesh take over day-to-day operations from me, and Ian takes over finance and operations away from me, I have more time to go work on global partnerships. And that's what I do now. That's what I spend my time on. That's where my focus needs to be. So there are many partnerships in play, not just the Fortune 10 company we are talking to, but really a lot more. And this is a numbers game. So we need to make sure our platform is in as many hands as possible. I will say one more clarity. We are not focused on the individual developer adoption today. We are focused on B2B, large integrator adoption of the platform first. Those with teams of people building complex care networks. Those with clinical and medical knowledge, interface experience with EMRs and EHRs and HIS and HIMS systems. Those with ERP background. That is the type of profile at this point in time. When Raj makes the sandbox available for instant configuration and much more developer documentation, we can see independent developers build their own care networks. But today, as we sit, we are best off focusing on enterprise partners. And that's where I'm focused. And that's my game. That's what I know how to do best. So partnerships are in conversations around the world. Of course, that our focus needs to be on only partnering with credible companies. We don't want to focus our time and energy on partners who don't have immediate opportunities or who don't have resources to take advantage of our platform. So I'm being selective, but there are numerous conversations underway.
Pradeep, thank you very much. I would like to cover a few more questions. From the question from Flying Pete 2002 and team. Has Solve reached out to companies like Teladoc, Care, even Amazon Care for potential partnership in the US? And does Pradeep see Amazon Care as a competition?
I cannot name names, but I'll say 2 out of the 3 you have mentioned, we are in conversations with, but I will not tell you which 2. That would violate the NDAs. And I will also say that we are a platform that enables projects like Amazon Care to come alive. We are a platform that doesn't compete with any single solution because if you really think about it, healthcare is going to move from institution to network. I was speaking with a very esteemed, respected physician in South Korea earlier this week. And I will not mention his name because we don't have the authority to do so. But one of the things he presented to me, he said his vision is that hospital of the future is a digital network. And I started to smile ear to ear because I said to him, your vision couldn't be more aligned with our vision, because his point was, let's bring the hospital to the home of the patient. Let's deliver the care where the patient is. And that defines Solve.Care's vision. Now, why is that relevant? That is true whether it's Amazon trying to deliver better care to their own employees or trying to commercialize employee benefits, which is what Amazon Care is trying to do. These are all about digitization and delivery of care in a manner that is decentralized. And as Raj said very eloquently, we are a more secure application platform for business implementation of decentralized care networks. There is no one like us. No one has attempted it at our scale, and nobody's further along than we are. So in that regard, I don't see anybody as a competition, unless and until someone comes up with a better platform than Solve.Care in terms of decentralized healthcare that is business ready, that is a full stack solution, including compute and data and identity and consent and transaction and payment, and tokenizes all of the above to a level where business can effectively build a care network very quickly. There is no one else. So what people consider as competitors, we see as opportunities.
Thank you. And the next question is from Guan. Do you have any projects with the US government in addition to general partner companies?
So yes, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, the project that Solve.Care will do with US government, and I have been deep inside the US government healthcare model, so I know this both as a vendor and also as a policy maker, and I can tell you exactly what Solve.Care will do and what Solve.Care will not do. Solve.Care will not engage in direct government contracting. We do not have what is called quals. Quals are essentially huge infrastructure, insurance bond requirements, program management, account management, GSA schedules, and local presence in appropriate state boundaries, local HR. There is an enormous list of qualifications or quals that you need to have to be an effective government contractor. I was one of them. In my previous company, we had quals in 12 states, and we were printing money, but it was an incredibly difficult business. And you cannot be a government contractor and an innovation company. They don't work together. So our vision is to enable people like me in my previous life to sell to government using our platform and to deliver effectively and on time and very powerful care networks. Since we don't want to invest in building quals around the world, we are going to work with partners who have quals or qualifications. Having said that, we are currently bidding on in such a setting where we are a subcontractor to other prime contractors on a number of projects. And one of them that I'm particularly excited about is in the area of Medicaid, which is a healthcare system for the poor and the underserved. And there are many such opportunities. We have to be careful that we bid in those opportunities where our prime has a good chance of winning, because bidding on these projects is easy, winning is very hard. And you can easily waste a ton of money bidding a bunch of projects and only win 1%. And it's not worth it to bid on 100 RFPs and win one. So you got to pick your partners carefully. So we are focused on partners with specific contracting vehicles. Those contracting vehicles are called GSA schedule. They are called small disabled veteran-owned enterprise. They are called 8A certification. There is a lot of things that you need to understand about government contracting to be successful. Fortunately, me and my leadership team have been part of it. Many of our board members have lived in the government contracting space, so we know who to partner with and who to avoid. Having said that, yes, the answer in a nutshell is those projects that are worthy of our attention, where high probability of win, at least a 33% win probability, is where we should be bidding, and that's what we are doing.
Thank you. The next question is from Kevin Beeman. Might we expect that CareWallet 2.0 will contain some basic utility that all those who download the app can access?
Yes. Growing the utility of CareWallet is a fundamental objective. And CareWallet 2.0, which we are very anxiously awaiting to come to market, is one step, but it's only a step. The real utility of CareWallet is in the networks that it joins. The real utility of CareWallet is in what services can you access through the wallet. Because your CareWallet is your personal medical concierge application, which lets you consume services of various care networks that you wish to use. And every human being on the planet should have one or more care networks that they want to participate in. That's why they need a CareWallet. So we have built 5 care networks so far. First 3 networks are based on insurance ACO market. Provider rewards program, which is provider payments, non-emergency medical transportation, which is around managed subsidized transportation. And the third one was the peace care network for chronic care population. These are all 3 sponsored networks. They need an insurance company membership, policy membership, for you to be insured by that insurance company to use those networks. So those are not open. They are sponsored networks. Sure, you can connect with them through the Care Wallet, but you would have to have a membership with the insurance company and an invite code from them. So that makes it a restricted use network. The wallet is a wallet. It can connect to any network, but the networks themselves were not available to average consumer. Then we launched Team Care. Team Care is also a sponsored network, which is sponsored by the employer. So if you work for an employer that has implemented Team Care, then you could use a Care Wallet to connect to that employer's Team Care. Again, that's a sponsored network, requires an invite code. So the first truly open network we are launching, where you don't need an invitation from a sponsor, is Global Telehealth Exchange, where everybody, particularly the avatar we have in mind, a single parent in a poor neighborhood who is trying to take care of her kids after work when all the doctors are not typically working, and she needs to take care of, feed her children and take care of her kids, and she doesn't have a partner to take these kids to the doctor in the middle of the day, and she can't afford to miss her job. That avatar consumer is who we are going after with GTHE. So that's an open network. And that open network is where the utility becomes global and open. There are several other open networks in the works. There is a medical device purchasing network that we are working with in partnership with a client, with a potential client. We are looking at open networks related to pharmacy, but these networks will follow GTHE. So your answer to your question, Kevin, is Care Wallet utility for an average non-sponsored any consumer who does not have any affiliation with an insurance company or with an employer starts with GTHE. That's the beginning. But there are dozens more networks behind GTHE that then continuously add open utility. But at the end of the day, Care Wallet is just the same. Care Wallet lets you choose the network you want to join. But the availability of networks will drive utility, and GTHE is a phenomenal step in terms of global utility of the Care Wallet, because you can join a network that doesn't require an invite.
Thank you. Next question is from Maliki55. As Solve evolves here and people around the world have the opportunity to use the platform for their own ideas and business ventures, will Solve be looking to let everyone operate as individual entities using the platform, or will Solve be looking for ideas that can move under the umbrella of Solve.Care and leverage both the ideas and the reputation of Solve as a company? In essence, is the platform a partner incubator and innovation incubator, or both?
It's a very nuanced question. It deserves a very good answer in terms of completeness, but I will try to answer it in summary. First, our vision is a Solve.Care Foundation will focus on enhancing this platform and making it the most powerful decentralized healthcare platform on the planet. Think of it as Salesforce or Calm and ERP combined, but fully decentralized in a secure manner where 5 things have been fully tokenized and decentralized: identity, consent, data, transaction, and sharing of information. These 5 things must be decentralized, they must be tokenized, they must be priced, they can be priced at an individual level and in tokens, and it must be completely sovereign user experience where every participant has absolute, unquestionable, and single control over all their information on their node. That is the fundamental. That fundamental platform is the mission, vision, and focus of Solve.Care Foundation, and that will remain to be 100% the case. We have decided that networks that are built on a platform will fall into 3 categories: completely independent networks designed by our clients, whether we help them build it or they build it entirely themselves. Those would be the kind of networks we have built in the past: diabetes care network, non-emergency medical transportation, provider payments. These are networks that our clients built and clients launched. Our clients will have the ability to launch as many such networks as they wish, as long as they are a properly certified organization, like an insurance company, a hospital, a clinic, a pharmacy, a pharmaceutical network, a group of physicians, on and on. As long as they have certain qualifications to launch a network, they are our clients. So that is category 1. And Solve.Care doesn't need to be in any way, shape, or form involved other than to support them in building their network from a services point of view, from an education and knowledge point of view, from platform limitation point of view. Whatever they need to succeed, we will help them. But they are the client, it's their network. They define the boundaries of participation, they define the rules of participation, and the Care Wallets worldwide join and participate in the network according to the rules of participation. So that's the core function. There is a second set of networks, which is based on what Solve.Care believes should be launched. Global Telehealth Exchange is a Solve.Care sponsored network. Therefore, it's open. We are opening it up to every human being on the planet. And I expect most people on the planet will end up using it, once a year or every day, depending upon their medical needs. That network is a Solve.Care sponsored network. So Solve.Care is the client. In this setting, we are going to create as much as possible independent organizations, standalone subsidiaries or lines of businesses with separate and independent leadership to run these networks, especially if those networks start to grow and scale. So looking at GTHE, Solve.Care Foundation is going to spin GTHE out in its own company and have it be staffed and run by its own people so that we can have 100% focus on GTHE by a group of people who are not worrying about building and enhancing the Solve platform or supporting the Solve token community and so on. So networks that Solve.Care will be involved in building and owning, those networks will be spun out as their own entities. And that is our model so that foundation can remain focused on the platform and the token. The third model is community model, where independent developers can build and publish their own care cards, their own care journeys. They can collaborate to create consortia, or they can offer their services to clients or to Solve.Care in terms of their objects that can be reused, which is essentially a marketplace concept. And that is what we are trying to get to when Raj is able to launch the sandbox, the documentation, the quick configurator, the composer, and things like this. There's a lot he's trying to do, but I'm cautioning him to focus on the enterprise client first, which is the insurance company or the enterprises or Solve.Care itself. And then comes the independent innovator concept. And that's certainly something we want to achieve in this calendar year as much as possible. So these are three ways networks can be built. By enterprises, like Blue Cross, where I used to be, is a perfect example of taking the Solve.Care platform, building a pregnancy care network, or building a juvenile oncology network, or building a benefit network for elderly, whatever. That is the enterprise client, track A. Which is how DCAN was built. This is how NEMT was built. This is how PRP was built. Track B is Solve.Care launching either a subsidiary or a joint venture where Solve.Care wants to launch a network, but it believes in this network so much that we want to be a sponsor of that network. That's GTHE. And that networks like that, Solve will essentially spin that out into its own subsidiary. That's what we will do with GTHE. And the third is the community-driven development model, which we will get to as the platform matures. So those are the three ways. Having said that, we are a combination. We will absolutely incubate promising networks that we believe in, and we will, if they succeed, we will launch them into their own company and support those companies to go public and to grow and to generate revenue and to succeed. GTHE is a great example of that. We will let third parties incubate networks that they want to do as long as they have credibility. One key principle in all of this is that networks cannot be launched by companies that cannot prove their bona fide, where they have the potential of harming the participants. We will not allow, willingly or through inaction, networks to be launched on a platform that cannot prove their clinical bona fide, where we have someone selling a network or a service on the platform which is not proven to be safe for the patients. We're not going to allow, obviously, networks that sell illicit or drugs that people are going to be harmed by. We're not going to permit networks that do harm. That is our responsibility. And if we see a network that does harm, then we will take action. We cannot shut a network down because clearly networks are decentralized, but we can certainly take action to prevent access to those networks from the care wallet if something is going on that could harm you or I or our kids or our parents. But by and large, our goal is not to be a censor. Our goal is to invite quality organizations, credible organizations, to build as many networks as they want. And given their business model, they are free to build a network that makes the most sense.
Thank you, Pradeep. And I will take only one more question from Esteban. Do you have any plan for the future about surgeries?
So this is a really interesting question. There is a very interesting network proposal that I encountered earlier this year, I think it was January or February, where the concept was primarily based around near-shore surgical intervention for non-life-threatening options. So in very simple language, the idea was that there are some very expensive surgeries that are routine surgeries, knee replacement, hip replacement, that are non-life-threatening, and they have very long recuperation period post-surgical event. And insurance companies and employers who are paying for employees' wellness benefit, or self-paid employees or in consumers who don't have third-party cost coverage, want to look at options that are not necessarily in their geography. Similarly, there are people who want to go get cosmetic surgery done, dentistry or skin procedures or body augmentation or fat loss, whatever. Bariatric surgery is a good example. So those are what is called elective surgeries. And in that model, the patient has a choice. They can wait for the surgery. They can decide where to get the surgery. They're often paying for the surgery out of pocket. So the idea is to build a variation of GTHE, which allows for such kind of surgical procedures to be elected. And we are thinking through that model. It is attractive. It's not something that is a higher priority than GTHE. And in the interest of focus, we decided that GTHE should be where all our energy should go, especially once Ian did the numbers and showed me the numbers, it became clear we should not do anything else till GTHE is launched and on its way. But there are definitely options to facilitate elective surgery and or post or surgery with long recuperation periods. But here's the thing to consider. We are seeing new proposals every week, amazing proposals from physicians, from hospitals, from groups who want to change the way healthcare is delivered. You and I cannot even begin to think about things that people are thinking about and coming to us. And our answer to all of that is, we'll support you if your proposal is valid. You don't really need to talk to us. We'll give you the platform, go build the network and launch it, as long as Solve token is used to tokenize identity, tokenize transactions, tokenize data, tokenize consent, and tokenize data sharing or interoperability. We don't really require you to come and ask us for permission. So as long as the organization requesting the platform access is credible, they can go do whatever they want. And my guess is we're going to see a lot more of those networks be launched by parties completely independent from Solve.Care. But we are getting a lot of requests. And right now, in the interest of focus, I'm keeping the team focused on GTHE. But I think second half this year, we're going to have to, and we would love to, launch many more networks than just the ones we are currently working on.
Pradeep, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for answers. Dear Solve.Care community, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining our live session. Thank you for your support and for challenging us as well. And looking forward to talking to you on our Telegram channel. Thanks and bye.
Bye.